The BFG. Sophie couldn't sleep. A brilliant moonbeam was slanting through a gap in the curtains. It was shining right onto her pillow. The other children in the dormitory had been asleep for hours. Sophie closed her eyes and lay quite still. The house was absolutely silent, and the window behind the curtain was wide open, but nobody was walking on the pavement outside. Not the tiniest sound could be heard anywhere.
Gosh, I've never known it so quiet. Perhaps this is what they call the witching hour, when every child and every grown-up is in a deep, deep sleep, and all the dark things come out from hiding and have the world all to themselves. I wonder if I dare get out of bed and close the gap in the curtains.
Sophie knew that she'd be punished if she was caught out of bed after lights out. That was always the case. But there was no one about now. She was sure of that. So she slipped out of bed and tiptoed over to the window. She couldn't resist just peeping out on the street below.
Heavens! I've never seen our village street look like this before. It's like something out of a fairy tale. Goodness! All the houses are bent and crooked, and everything looks ghostly pale and milky white.
Across the road, she could see Mrs. Rance's shop, where you bought buttons and wool and bits of elastic. It didn't look real. There was something dim and misty about it. Sophie allowed her eye to travel further and further down the street.
There's something coming up the road. Something black. Am I dreaming? It's something tall and black. Something very tall and very black and very thin. It isn't human. It's 4 times as tall as the tallest human. Its head is higher than the upstairs windows of the houses.
Sophie opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came out. She was frozen with fright.
This is the witching hour, right? Oh, it's coming nearer and nearer. It's stopping in front of each house and peering into the upstairs window. Has to be some kind of a person, surely. A giant person, maybe.
The giant, if that's what he was wearing a long black cloak. And in one hand he was holding what looked like a very long, thin trumpet. In the other hand he held a large suitcase.
Oh my! He stopped outside Mr. and Mrs. Gucci's house. He's peering in through the children's bedroom window. Whatever is he going to do to Michael and Jane?
The giant put the suitcase down on the pavement. He bent over and opened it and took something out. It looked like a glass jar with a screw top. He unscrewed the top and poured what was in it into the end of the long trumpet thing. Then he poked the trumpet in through the open window, took a deep breath and... whoof! He blew through the trumpet.
Whatever was in that jar has just been blown straight into Michael and Jane's bedroom.
As the giant withdrew the trumpet from the window and bent down to pick up the suitcase, he happened to turn his head and glance across the street. Sophie caught a glimpse of an enormous, long, pale, wrinkly face with the most enormous ears. The nose was as sharp as a knife, and above the nose there were 2 bright flashing eyes which had a devilish look about them. And they were staring straight at Sophie.
Help! He's seen me! Oh no, I must get back into bed, quick!
The next moment, there at the window was the enormous, long, pale, wrinkly face of the giant person staring in. The flashing black eyes were fixed on Sophie's bed.
He's going to get me! He's going to get me!
And sure enough, a huge hand with pale fingers came snaking in through the window. This was followed by an arm as thick as a tree trunk. and the arm, the hand, the fingers were reaching out across the room towards Sophie's bed. But Sophie's scream was smothered by the huge hand that clamped down over her blanket. The strong fingers grasped hold of her, and then she was lifted up from her bed, blanket and all, and whisked out of the window. When the giant had got Sophie outside, he arranged the blanket so that he could grasp all the four corners of it at once in one of his huge hands, with Sophie imprisoned inside. In the other hand, he seized the suitcase and the long trumpet thing, and off he ran. Sophie, crouched in the blanket, peered out.
Oh dear, I've never known anyone run so fast. Oh, ouch! I'm bumping against his legs. Ah, we've just crossed over a river. Oh heavens, he must be running fast because he's hungry and he wants to get me home as quickly as possible, and then he'll have me for breakfast.
The giant ran on and on, but now a curious change took place, and he seemed to go into a higher gear. Faster and faster he went, and soon he was travelling at such speed that it was impossible to tell whether they were on land or sea.
I believe we're crossing oceans, and the wind is howling so fiercely. Ow, it's hurting my ears. Heavens, we're in a country of thick forests and rushing rivers. There we go, over another one, and there's a great craggy mountain. He's slowing down, and he's going to a stop.
The giant stopped outside a huge cave. Slowly, he rolled a gigantic stone away from the entrance of the cave, and in he went. As soon as he was inside, he stopped and turned and rolled the great black stone back into place, so that the entrance to his secret cave was completely hidden from outside.
Oh, help! It's so dark. He's lowering me to the ground. Ow! He's getting ready to eat me. He'll probably eat me raw, just as I am. Or perhaps he'll boil me first, or drop me like a rasher of bacon in some gigantic frying pan, sizzling with fat.
A blaze of light suddenly lit up the cave. It was a huge cavern with a high, rocky roof. The walls on either side were lined with shelves, and on the shelves there stood row upon row of glass jars. In the middle of the floor there was a table 12 feet high, and a chair to match.
Ha! What has us got here?
Oh, look at his ears. They're as big as chuck wheels.
I says, what has us got here?
Please don't hurt me.
I is hungry.
Oh, look at those teeth.
I is very hungry.
Please don't eat me.
Just because I is a giant, you think I is a man, goblin, cannibal?
Well,
You is about right. Giants is all cannibal-y and murderful, and they does boggle up human beings.
Oh,
And we is in giant country now.
giant country.
Giants is everywhere around. Out there, us has the famous bone-crunching giant who crunches up 2 wopsy-whiffling human beings for supper every night.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Noise of crunching bones goes crackety-crack for miles around.
Ouch!
Every night, Bone Cruncher is galloping off to Turkey to gobble up Turks.
But what's wrong with the English?
Well, bone-crunching giants say Turks is tasting, ever so much juicier and more scrumdiddlyumptious. He says Turks from Turkey is tasting of Turkey.
Well, I suppose they would.
Well, of course they would. Now, Greeks, they is all full of ucky slush. No giant is eating Greeks, ever.
Why?
Greeks from Greece is all tasting greasy.
I imagine they do.
All human beings is tasting different. Human beings from Panama is tasting very strongly of hats.
Why hats?
You is not very clever. I thought all human beings is full of brains, but your head is emptier than a bunduncle. Now then, human beings from Wales is tasting very strongly of fish.
You mean Wales? Wales is something quite different.
Wales is Wales. Don't gobble funk around with words.
Oh.
Now, Human beings from Jersey is tasting of cardigans.
You mean jerseys?
You are once again gobble-funking. Don't do it. Now, may I continue?
Please do.
Danes from Denmark is tasting ever so much of dogs.
Of course, they taste of Great Danes.
Wrong. Danes from Denmark is tasting doggy because they is tasting of Labradors.
Well, then what do the people of Labrador taste of?
Danes. Great Danes.
Aren't you getting a bit mixed up?
I is a very mixed-up giant. But I does my best, and I is not nearly as mixed up as the other giants.
Oh.
I know one who gallops all the way to Wellington for his supper.
Wellington? Where is Wellington?
Your head is full of squashed flies. Wellington is in New Zealand, and the human beings in Wellington tastes like boots.
Of course, I should have known.
Yeah, you should, yes.
What sort of human beings do you eat?
Me gobbling up human beings, this I never. No, all the others is gobbling them up every night, but not me. No, I is a freaky giant. I is a nice and jumbly giant.
Really?
Oh, yes. I is the only nice and jumbly giant in giant country.
Oh, I am glad.
Yeah, I is the big friendly giant. I is the BFG.
The BFG?
Yes. What is your name?
My name's Sophie.
Funny name.
I suppose so.
Yes.
But if you're so nice and friendly, then why did you snatch me from my bed and run away with me?
Because you saw me. If anyone has ever seen a giant, they must be taken away Ipswich.
Oh, but why?
Well, first of all, human beings is not really believing in giants, is
I
they?
do.
Well, that is only because you have seen me. I cannot allow anyone, even little girls, to be seeing me and staying at home.
Why?
Why, you'd be scuttling around yodeling the news.
Oh, I would.
Yes, you would, and then a great giant hunt and a mighty giant look-see would be starting up. People would be rushing and bushing after me and...
Oh, no.
Yes, they would, and catching me and locking me into a cage at the zoo or in the bunkum house with all those squiggling hippo dumplings and crocodile dillies.
Hippopotami and crocodile.
Well, that's what I says, hippo dumplings and crocodile dillies, and that would never do.
So what will happen to me now?
Well, if you go back, you will be telling all the world.
Oh, I would.
Yes, you would, most likely on that telly bunkum box and the radio squeaker. So you will just have to be staying here with me for the rest of your life.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. But I am warning you not ever to go whiffling about out of this cave without eyes with you, or you will be coming to a mucky end.
Oh.
Yeah. I is showing you now who is going to eat you up if they is ever catching even one tiny little glimpse of you. Now, get it? Come with me. I'll just roll my stone away. Now, you sit on my hand and peeps out over there, little girl, and tell me what you is seeing.
Big tall things.
Yes.
Huge things. Moving among the rocks. I can just make them out in the sunlight. Oh, and look, there are some more. 4 or 5 of them sitting on the rocks.
Yes, this is giant country. Those is all giants, every one.
But they're even bigger than you.
Oh, yes.
Oh, and they're so ugly. Long arms and big feet and huge bellies.
Oh, yes.
And, they're naked, except for those funny little short skirts.
Yes, whereas I has my cloak and my waistcoat and my trousers, I has.
But what's they all doing?
Oh, they is just moochling and foochling around and waiting for the night to come. Then they will all be galloping off to places where people is living to find their suppers.
Oh, do they ever go to England?
Often. They say the English is tasting ever so wonderfully of crod scallop.
I'm not sure I quite know what that means.
Well, meanings is not important. I cannot be right all the time. Quite often, I is left instead of right.
But eating people is horrible. It's frightful. Why doesn't someone stop them?
And who, please, is going to be stopping them?
Couldn't you?
Never in a pig's whistle.
Oh.
Oh, no, all of those man-eating giants is enormous and very fierce. They is all at least 50 feet tall with huge muscles and cockles alive. Oh, I is the titchy one. I is the runt. 24 feet is puddle nuts in giant country.
You mustn't feel bad about it. I think you're just great.
Oh.
Even if your toes must be as big as sausages.
Oh, they're bigger. They is as big as bumblehammers.
And if you put me down on the ground and I was to walk out among them now, would they really eat me up?
Like a whiff sweater. And what's more, you is so small they wouldn't even have to chew you. The first one to be seeing you would pick you up in his fingers and down you'd go like a drop of drain water.
Let's go back inside. I hate even watching them.
Right. Now, you sits down there on my table. Is you quite snugly there in your nightie? You isn't frigid cold?
I'm fine.
God. I cannot help thinking about your poor mother and father. They must be jipping and scumping all over the house, shouting, "Hello, hello, where is Sophie gone?"
I don't have a mother and father.
You don't?
They both died when I was a baby.
Oh, you poor little scrumpling. Is you not missing them very badly?
Not really, because I never knew them.
Oh, you is making me sad.
Oh, don't be sad. No one is going to be worrying too much about me. That place you took me from was the village orphanage.
You is an orphan?
Yes, there are 10 of us there. All girls.
Was you happy there?
No, I hated it. The woman who ran it was called Mrs. Clonkers, and if she caught you breaking any of the rules, like getting out of bed at night, you got punished.
How is you getting punished?
She locked us in a dark cellar for a day and a night without anything to eat or drink.
Oh, the rotten old rot rat, sir. Oh, you is making me sadder than ever.
Oh, don't let those big tears roll down your cheeks. Oh, do stop. You're making quite a puddle.
I can't help it. You is making me sad.
The thing that worries me is having to stay in this dreadful place for the rest of my life.
All is my fault. I is the one who kid-snatched you.
Oh, please don't cry. Now I come to think of it, I won't actually be here all that long. Those brutes out there are bound to catch me sooner or later and have me for tea.
I is never letting that happen.
May I please ask you a question?
Yeah, shoot away.
Would you please tell me what you were doing in our village last night? Why are you poking that long trumpet thing into the Gucci children's bedroom and then blowing through it?
And now he is getting nosier than a Parker.
And what on earth is that suitcase for?
You is asking me to tell you what's big secrets. Secrets that nobody is ever hearing before.
I won't tell a soul. I swear it. How could I anyway? I'm stuck here for the rest of my life.
If I tells you...
Yes?
If I tells you, would you teach me how to make an elephant?
What do you mean?
I would dearly love to have an elephant to ride on.
Oh.
A jumbly big elephant to go riding through green forests and picking peachy fruits off the trees all day long.
I see.
Oh, this is a sizzling hot muck-frumping country we is living in. Nothing grows in it, except snozcumbers.
Snozcumbers?
Yes. That's why I would love to go somewhere else and pick peachy fruits in the early morning from the back of an elephant.
Perhaps one day we'll get you an elephant. And peachy fruits as well. Now tell me what you were doing in our village.
Well, if you really want to know...
Yes?
I was blowing a dream into the bedroom of those children.
What? Blowing a dream?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I is a dream-blowing giant. I is scuttling away to other places to blow dreams into the bedrooms of sleeping children. Dreams that is giving the dreamers a happy time.
No, hang on a minute. Where do you get these dreams?
I collect them. I has billions of them. In all these glass bottles.
You can't collect a dream.
Oh, who says?
Well, a dream isn't something you can catch hold of.
Oh. You is never going to understand about it. That is why I is not wishing to tell you.
Oh, please tell me. I will understand. Tell me everything.
Well, dreams is very mysterious things. They is floating around in the air like little wispy, misty bubbles. And all the time, they is searching for sleeping people.
Can you see them?
Not at first.
Then how do you catch them?
Now he is getting into the dark and dusky secrets.
I won't tell a soul.
I is trusting you.
Oh, good.
A dream, as it goes whiffling through the night air, is making a tiny little buzzing humming noise.
I see.
But this little buzzy hum is so silvery soft it is impossible for a human being to be hearing it.
Can you hear it?
Is you seeing these ears of mine?
How could I miss them?
Well, they may be as looking a bit preposterous to you, but you must believe me when I say they is very extra usual ears indeed.
I'm sure they are.
They is not to be coughed at.
I'm quite sure they're not.
They is allowing me to hear absolutely every single twiddly little thing.
You mean you can hear things I can't hear?
You is deaf as a dumpling compared with me. You is hearing only thumping loud noises with those little earwigs of yours. But I am hearing all the secret whisperings of the world.
What sort of things?
I is hearing the little ants chittering to each other as they scuttle around in the soil.
You can hear them talking?
Every single word. And sometimes, if I swiggle my ears like this, and the night is very clear, sometimes I is hearing faraway music coming from the stars in the sky.
Never.
My ears is what told me you was watching me out your window.
But I didn't make a sound.
I was hearing your heart beating across the road, loud as a drum. You think I is swizfiggling you?
Well, it is rather hard to believe.
When I is stopping right here, I is not wishing to be called a fibster.
Oh, no, I'm not calling you anything. I really do believe you.
I shouldn't ever be fibbling to you.
I know. But you must understand that it isn't easy to believe such amazing things straight away. Please go on.
Well, if I is chopping an axe into the trunk of a big tree, I is hearing a terrible sound coming from inside the heart of the tree.
What sort of sound?
Oh, a soft moaning sound. Like the sound of an old man is making when he is dying slowly.
Oh, dear.
Such wonderful and terrible sounds I is hearing. Some of them you would never wish to be hearing yourself, but some is like glorious music.
Can you tell me something?
I is telling you everything now.
Is there a dream floating around in here?
No, there's no dream in here, except in the bottles. Oh, I has a special place to go for catching dreams. They has not often come into giant country.
How do you catch them?
The same way you was catching butterflies, with a net.
A net?
Here it is. This is my dream catcher.
Gosh!
Every morning I is going out and snitching new dreams to put in my bottles.
This feels like a dream right now.
Well. I is getting hungry. It is time for eats.
Eats? Well, if you don't eat people like all the others, then what do you live on?
Well, that is a squelching, tricky problem around here. In this slosh-flunking giant country, happy eats like pineapples and pigwinkles is simply not growing. Nothing is growing except for one extremely icky-poo vegetable.
And what's that?
It is called the snozcumber.
The snozcumber?
Yesterday we is not believing in giants. Today we is not believing in snozcumbers.
I didn't say I didn't believe in
Well, I will show you a snozcumber so you can see it with your own two little winkles, and then you'll know it exists in this cupboard here. There it is.
Oh!
Yeah, here we are. Here is the repulsant snozcumber.
Goodness me! It's enormous! It's almost twice the size of a grown man.
Yes, and you sees all these black and white stripes and all these knobbly-wobbly bits.
Yes.
Well, that's how you know it's a snozcumber.
So you eat that?
I do, but I squoggle it, I mispise it, I desponge it. But because I is refusing to gobble up human beings like the other giants, I must spend my life guzzling up icky-poo snozcumbers instead.
Oh, goodness.
If I don't, I will be nothing but skin and groans.
You mean skin and bones?
I know I does, but I cannot be helping it if sometimes I is saying things a little squiggly. Well, there never was any schools to teach me talking in giant country.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be rude.
Now then, I has to eat this. It's filthy. It's disgusting.
Oh, be careful. You're splattering me with a snozzcumber.
You try it yourself.
No, thank you.
It's all you're going to be guzzling around here. Go on, you whipsy little winkle. Have a go. Go on. Try it. Go on.
Well, if I must.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh!
What did I tell you?
Oh, no, God. Oh, it tastes like frog skin. And rotten fish.
It's worse than that. To me, it is tasting of clock coaches and slime wanglers.
Oh.
Yeah, but you have to eat it. Unless you is wanting to become so thin, you will be disappearing into a thick air.
Into thin air, I think you mean.
Oh, words. They are such a twitch-tickling problem to me all my life.
I think you speak beautifully.
You do?
Simply beautifully.
Well, that's the nicest present anybody has ever given me in my whole life.
Good.
You sure you is not twiddling my leg?
Of course not. I just love the way you talk.
Oh, how wonder-crump. How whoopsie-splunkers.
Listen, we don't have to eat snozzcumbers.
Oh?
No. In the field around our village, there are all sorts of lovely vegetables, like cauliflowers and carrots. Why don't you get some of those next time you go visiting?
No, I is a very honourable giant. I would rather be chewing up rotten snozzcumbers than snitching things from other people.
You stole me.
I didn't steal you very much. After all, you is only a tiny little girl. Look out!
What is it?
It's the Bloodbottler.
I is hearing you jabbling. Who is you jabbling to, Run?
Oh no! He's rolling my stone away. Quick! You must be hiding behind the snozzcumber on the table. Here, come on, I'll give you a hand. There.
Who was you jabbling to in here just now?
I is jabbling to myself.
Puddleface! Bugs wallop!
No.
You is talking to a human being, that's what I is thinking.
No!
Yes. I is guessing you was snitched away a human being and brought it back to your bunghole as a pet.
No.
So now I is winkling it out and guzzling it as extra snacks before my supper.
There's no one in here. Why don't you leave me alone?
Ready, little scum screwer, piffling little Swiss fiddler, running little pug swizzler. I is now going to search the primrose in it.
Oh, let go of my arm.
Oh, no, you squimpy little bottle wart. You is going to help me search.
Sophie peered around the chewed-off end of the snozzcumber, watching the two giants as they moved away down the cave. The Bloodbottler was a gruesome sight. His skin was reddish-brown. There was black hair sprouting on his chest and arms and on his stomach. His foul face was all squashy-looking, and his eyes were tiny black holes. But the mouth was huge. It spread right across the face, almost ear to ear, and it had lips that were like two gigantic purple frankfurters, lying one on top of the other.
Oh, it's not at all difficult to believe that this brute eats people every night. Oh, heavens, he's making for the BFG's bottles.
So these are your pibbling bottles. What is you putting in them?
Nothing that would interest you. You was only interested in guzzling human beings.
And you is as dotty as a dog swaggler.
He'll be back here any minute. I can't jump off this table. It's far too high. Oh, how can I hide? Oh, there's only one thing for it. I'll have to climb right inside the snozzcumber. If I just scoop out these seeds... Now I can just crouch in here if I roll myself into a ball.
Now, what has we got over here?
Nothing important, nothing you is liking.
Ah, so this is the filthsome, rotsome glubbage you is eating? You must be cockles to be guzzling such rub squat.
That is the scrumdiddlyumptious snozcumber you is holding. I is guzzling it gleefully every night and day.
Yes, you is cockles, all right.
Is you never trying a snozcumber, Bloodbottler?
Oh no, oh please no.
Human beans is juicier.
Ah, you is talking rummy talk. I is happy to let you sample it.
BFG doesn't know I'm in here. He's just trying to distract the Bloodbottler.
But please, when you see how truly glumptious it is, do not be guzzling the whole thing. Leave me a little snitchet for my supper.
Oh no, he's going to bite into it, and into me at the same time.
You's not switch fiddling me, is you?
Never. Take a bite, and you will be shouting out, "Oh, how scrumdiddlyumptious this wonder veg is!"
Just this once I is going to taste this rotsome eats of yours.
Oh, I knew it.
But I is warning you that if it is filthsome, I is smashing it over your sludgy little lad.
Well, go on then. Pick it up.
Oh, here I go. 50 feet up. Help! I can see his terrible mouth. I'm getting nearer. This is it.
All of the great lumps of snozcumber that were in the Bloodbottler's mouth, as well as Sophie herself, went shooting out across the cave. If Sophie had struck the stony wall, she would most certainly have been killed. Instead, she hit the soft folds of the BFG's cloak hanging against the wall. She dropped to the ground and crawled under the hem of the cloak, and there she crouched.
You little swine bugler! You little pig swiller! I is gonna beat you over the head with this repulsing snozcumber!
Oh, you is not loving it?
Loving it? That is the most disgustingest taste that has ever touched my teeth! You must be buggles to be swallowing slush like that! You could be galloping off happy as a hamburger every night and gobbling juicy human beans!
Eating human beings is wrong and evil.
It is guzzly and glumptious. And tonight, I is galloping off to Chile to swallow a few human chili beans.
You ought to be ashamed.
Other giants is all saying they is wanting to gallop off to England tonight to guzzle school chidlers. I is very fond of school chidlers. They is a nice inky, booky flavor.
You is disgusting.
And you is an insult to the giant peoples. You is not fit to be a giant. You is a cream puff nut. Yeah!
Sophie? Sophie? Where is you, Sophie?
I'm here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be finding you all in one lump.
I was in his mouth.
You was what?
I hid in the snozcumber.
Oh.
And I was in his mouth.
Oh.
It smelled horrid.
And there I was telling him to eat the filthsome snozcumber, and you was all the time inside it.
Not a lot of fun.
Oh, come here now. Oh, just look at you, you poor little chidler. You is all covered in snozcumber and giant spit. Oh, I is hating those other giants more than ever now. You know what I should like?
What?
I should like to find a way of disappearing them, every single one.
I'd be glad to help you. Let me see if I can think of a way of doing it. I really am most dreadfully hungry and thirsty too.
Yes, well, I expect you is.
Are you sure there's nothing else to eat around here except those disgusting, smelly snozcumbers?
Not even a fizzwinkle.
In that case, please may I have some water?
Water? What is water?
We drink it.
Oh.
What do you drink?
Frobscottle. All giants is drinking frobscottle.
Is it as nasty as your snozcumbers?
Nasty? Never is it nasty. Frobscottle is sweet and jumbly.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'll get you some here. Yeah, here we are. Delumptuous, fizzy Frobscottle. Just shakes it up like this. See how fizzy and jumbly it is?
But it's fizzing the wrong way. The bubbles are all shooting downwards and bursting on the bottom.
What on earth is you meaning the wrong way?
In our fizzy drinks, the bubbles always go up and burst at the top.
Upwards is the wrong way. That's the most flush-bunking rubbish I ever is hearing.
Why'd you say that?
You is meaning to tell me you cannot see why it is a scrotty mistake to have the bubbles flying up instead of down?
No.
You must be as quacky as a duckhound.
Oh, I'm not.
What name is you calling your Frobscottle by?
Well, one is Coke, another is lemonade. There are lots of them.
And the bubbles is all going up?
They all go up.
Catastrous outgoing bubbles is a catastrous disastrophe.
Why?
Well, listen. When you is drinking this cokey drink of yours, it is going straight down to your tummy, is that right, or is it left?
That's right.
And the bubbles is going also into your tummy, right or left?
Right again.
And the bubbles is fizzing upwards.
Of course.
Which means that they will all come swish-whiffing up your throat and out your mouth and make a foulsome, belching burp.
That's often true. But what's wrong with a little burp?
Oh, burping is filthsome.
But with your drink,
Frobscottle?
Frobscottle, the bubbles in your tummy will be going downwards, and that could have a far nastier result. They'll be coming out somewhere else, with an even louder and ruder noise.
A whiz-popper. Us giants is making whiz-poppers all the time.
Oh dear.
Whiz-popping is a sign of happiness. It is music in our ears.
Oh.
Well, you surely is not telling me that a little whiz-popping is forbidden among human beings.
It's considered extremely rude.
But you is whiz-popping, is you not? Now and again?
Everyone is whiz-popping, if that's what you call it. Kings and queens are whiz-popping, but where I come from, it's not polite to talk about it.
Oh, redunculous. Now, watch this. First, I shakes it,
Yes.
and then I takes out the cork, and has a nice big slurp. It's glummy. I love it. Now, just you listen.
Good grief! It lifted you right off your feet, like a rocket!
Yeah, that's whiz-popping for you.
Oh!
Try some yourself.
Oh, all right then. It's lovely! Delicious!
Now, just you wait. Bravo! You is very good for a beginner. Let's have some more.
Yes,
I is galloping off now to catch some more shopsy shifting dreams for my collection. Is you wishing to come with me?
No, thank you. Not with those giants lurking outside.
I is snuggling you very cozy into the pocket of my waistcoat. Come on.
Oh!
There. You is safe in there, and you can peep out of that little hole in the pocket. Now, I just need to fill my suitcase with empty jars. There. Now, all I need is my net, and off we goes.
As soon as he was outside, the BFG set off across the great hot yellow wasteland, where the blue rocks lay and the dead trees stood, and where all the other giants were skulking about. Sophie, squatting low on her heels in the pocket of the leather waistcoat, had one eye glued to the little hole. She saw the group of enormous giants about 300 yards ahead.
Hold your breaths, cross your figures, here we go.
we is going right past all these other giants. Is you seeing that whopping great one, the one nearest to us?
I see him.
He's the horriblest of them all. He is called the Fleshlumpeating giant. He's 54 feet high, and he is swallowing human beings like they're sugar lumps, 2 or 3 at a time.
Shall we turn back?
They has spotted us. They is loping towards us. Well, here comes the runty one.
Oh, yeah, you was right, Fleshlumpeater. That's a runny one, all right.
Of course I is right, Bloodbottler. I is always right. Quiet, all of you. Ho there, runty one. Where's you splat-twinkling away to in such a heft hurry? Come here.
Ow! Be so kind as to be letting go of my hair, Fleshlumpeater.
Now listen, you little grub squiffler. We is all of us wanting to know where you is galloping off to every day in the daytime. Is it we?
Yeah, we do.
Nobody ought to be galloping off anywhere until it's dark. The human beings could easily be spotting you and starting a giant hunt. We is not wanting that to happen. Is we not?
No, we're not. But you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I is not galloping to any human being country. I is going to other places.
I is thinking that you is catching human beings and keeping them as pets.
Right you are. Just now I is hearing him chittering away to one of them in his cage.
I is gonna throw him. Catch him, man-hugger.
I got him! Shall I throw him?
To me! I'll catch him.
You will catch him!
Oh, I is bored with catching. I is kicking him.
Come on, you kick him. Run, you little runt.
Run.
Let us be seeing how fast you is galloping. Scrawny little twig.
Shrivelly little shrimp.
You mucky little midget, squawky little squid, grubby little grub!
I didn't like that.
Few and far between. They was in a nasty crotching mood today.
I expect they'll catch lots of people tonight.
Oh, they will. Every night they does.
But if all these people are disappearing every night, surely there's some sort of an outcry.
The world is a whopping big place. And the giants is clever. They is careful not to be skididdling off to the same country too often. Is you quite cozy down there in my pocket?
I'm fine.
Well, you holds on, because now we goes faster.
Faster?
That's right.
This time the BFG didn't stay in top gear long. Soon they were in an altogether paler country. The sun had disappeared above a film of vapour, and this was a country of swirling mists and vapours.
We is here at last. Let me put you down on the ground. Like so.
Where are we?
We is in dream country. Yeah, this is where all dreams is beginning. Now, we keeps as still as winky little mices.
Your ears are swiveling out of your head.
That's how I hears the dreams. Shh. There's one. Over there, just over there. Got him. Ajar.
Here you go.
Now unscrew the top. Yeah, now we just tip the dream from the net into the jar. Now, screw the top back on.
Yeah.
That's it. Well done. Now let me listen.
What?
It's a wink squiffler. It's even better. It's a fizz wizard. A golden fizz wizard.
Wow.
Shh. Now don't remove a muscle. And do kindly stop breathing. You is terribly noisy down there.
Sorry.
I was going to try and catch another. Here we go. And got another jar.
Here you go.
Now that's it. Now, okay, right on with the top. There.
Well, another fizz wizard.
Oh no. No! It's a chocolate humper. Oh, save our souls. The devil is dancing on my dibbler. Oh, this is a bad dream.
No.
Yeah, it's worse than a bad dream. This is a nightmare. Oh, I just never letting this go. It is a real Kixie bog thumper. I is exploding it as soon as I get home.
I can see it wiggling inside the jar.
Yes. The nastier the dream, the angrier it is getting when it is in prison. Oh, I would hate to get this one inside me on a darksome night.
So would I.
Oh, I is so upset by this troggle-humping, bug-thumping grub switcher that I is not wishing to go on. Dream catching is finished for today. Back in the pocket with you. We is going home.
Off they went, racing as fast as they could go. When, at last, they emerged out of the mist and came again onto the hot yellow wasteland, all the other giants were sprawled out on the ground, fast asleep.
They is always having 50 winks before they go scumpering off to hunt human beings. By gum frog, I is just having the most whoopsie shifling idea.
What?
I is going to unscrew the top of that bog-thumping dream, and I is going to give it to the Fleshlumpeater.
You're not.
I is. Just you watch. Open the case. That's it. Now, hand me the terrible, nightmarish chocolate humper.
Here you go.
Yeah. Now, I is going to tip it into the end of my trumpet here. Yeah. Now, I is going to blow. Now, we had better be skidding away quick to where it is safe. Come on. No, we'll stop here. Crouch down. There. Now, we is waiting for the gun and flames to begin. He's still asleep. It's beginning to hit him.
Serves him right.
Save us! He's after me. He's getting me. It's Jack. Jack is whack-crackling me. Jack is spike-sticking me. Jack is splash-plunking me. Oh, spare me, Jack. Don't hurt me, Jack.
Who is Jack?
Jack is the only human being all giants is frightened of. They is all hearing that Jack is a famous giant killer.
Save me! Have mercy on this poor little giant! The beanstalk is coming at me with his terrible spike-sticking beanstalk! Take it away! I is begging you, Jack. I is praying you not to touch me with your terrible spike-sticking beanstalk!
Look at him! Just look at him! He's tying himself in knots!
No!
Oops! That's done it! He just punched the meat dripper! Straight in the mouth!
He's swiping me right in the mouth!
He's bung-swaggling me smack in the guts!
I'll get you for this, Fleshlumpeater!
I'll get you!
They're all waking up! They're all going to join in!
Kick him! Kick him, he's like me!
I is loving it when they is all having a good tough and rumble.
They'll kill each other!
Oh, never. Those beasts is always brishing and walloping at one another. Oh, soon it will be getting dusky and they will be galloping off to fill their tummies.
They are foul and filthy. I hate them!
We certainly was putting that nightmare to good use, though, wasn't we?
Excellent use. Well done, you!
The big, friendly giant was seated at the great table in his cave, and he was doing his homework. Sophie sat cross-legged on the tabletop nearby, watching him. The glass jar containing the one good dream they had caught that day stood between them.
What are you writing?
Every dream is having its special label on the bottle. How else could I be finding the one I am wanting in a hurry?
What amazes me is how you ever learnt how to write in the first place.
I has been wondering how long it is before you was asking me that.
Considering you never went to school, I think it's quite marvellous. How did you learn?
I am showing you. You sees this tiny secret door in the wall.
Oh, yes.
Well, look.
A book! Ah! It looks like a postage stamp in your hands. Where did that come from?
Well, one night I was blowing a dream through a window and I sees this book lying on the little boy's bedroom table.
Yes?
I wanted it so very badly, you understand. But I was refusing to steal it.
So how did you get it?
I borrowed it. Just for a short time.
How long have you had it?
Perhaps only about 80 years. Well, soon I shall be putting it back.
And that's how you taught yourself to write?
I was reading it hundreds of times. And I is still reading it and teaching new words to myself and how to write them. It is the most scrumdiddly-umptious story.
May I see?
Here,
Nicholas Nickleby.
by Dahl's Chickens.
Whatever's that?
That is the giants zip-fizzing off to another country to guzzle human beings. Here, hide in my pocket, and we'll peep.
All 9 of them? Gosh.
Where is you off to tonight?
We is all of us flush bunking off to England. England is a luxurious land, and we is fancying a few nice little English chidlers.
I is knowing where there is a giggle house for girls, and I is guzzling myself full as a frost blower.
And I know where there is a buckle box for boys. All I has to do is reach in and grab myself a handful. English boys is tasting extra lick squishy.
Very lick squishy.
I is guzzling 5. I is guzzling 6. I is guzzling 7.
What did he mean? What's a giggle house for girls?
He is meaning a girls' school. He will be eating them by the bundle.
Oh, no!
And boys from a boys' school.
It mustn't happen. We've got to stop them. We can't just sit here and do nothing.
Oh, there's not a thing we can do. We is helpless as horse feathers.
We must stop them. Let's chase after them and warn everyone in England they're coming.
Redunculous and impossible. They is going 2 times as fast as me.
I can't stand it. Just think of those poor girls and boys who are going to be eaten alive in a few hours' time. Why? Why won't you go?
I has told you I is never showing myself to human beings.
But why?
Well, if I do, they will be putting me in the zoo with all the jiggy rafts and catty piddlers.
Nonsense.
And they will be sending you straight back to a orphanage. Grown-up human beings is not famous for their kindnesses.
That isn't true. Some of them are very kind.
Who? Name one.
The Queen of England.
Ah, the Queen of England. The Fleshlumpeater is longing dearly to guzzle her up.
Oh.
He says she has an especially scrumdiddlyumptious flavour.
How dare he?
He says there is too many soldiers around her palace and he dursn't try it.
He'd better not.
He is also saying he would very much like to guzzle one of the soldiers in his pretty red suit, but he's worried about those big black furry hats they is wearing. He thinks they might be sticking in his throat.
I hope he chokes. Hey, by golly!
What is it? What is you thinking now?
Oh, I think I've got it. I think I've got it.
Got what?
The answer! We'll go to the Queen. If I told the Queen about these disgusting man-eating giants, I'm sure she'd do something about it.
She is never believing you. The Queen will be laughing and saying, "What awful fob squash." Look, human beings is simply not believing in giants.
Then it's up to us to find a way of making her believe in them. I know.
Oh, what now?
We don't have to tell her. We'll make her dream it.
Well, that is an even more froth-bungling suggestion. Dreams is lots of fun, but nobody is believing in dreams either.
Oh, I can fix that.
Never can you fix it.
Oh, I can. I swear I can. Now look. Can you make a person dream absolutely anything in the world?
Anything you like. I can mix up any dreams you like.
How could you mix it up?
Like mixing a cake.
Go on.
Well, I's dillions of dreams on my shelves. Right or left?
Right.
Well, they is getting very lonesome by themselves in those glassy bottles. They likes being mixed.
So you have dreams about the Queen of England.
Lots of 'em.
And about giants eating people.
Swiggles of 'em.
And about little girls like me.
Those is the commonest of all.
And so you could mix all of them up just as I want you to.
Of course.
Listen, I want you to mix a dream which you will blow into the Queen of England's bedroom when she's asleep. And this is how it will go.
But how is I going to get near enough to the Queen of England's bedroom?
I'll come to that later. Now, here's the dream I want you to mix. I want the Queen to dream that 9 disgusting giants are galloping to England in the night. She must dream their names as well, right?
Right. Fleshlumpeater, man-hugger, bone cruncher, child chewer...
And so on, exactly.
Yeah.
Let her dream that they'll be snatching little boys and girls from their beds. Do they eat them on the spot, or do they carry them away first?
Well, they is usually just popping them straight into their mouths like popcorn.
Put that in the dream. And then the dream must say that when their tummies are full, they will go galloping back to giant country where no one can find them.
Is that all?
Certainly not. You must then explain to the Queen that there is a big, friendly giant who can tell her where all those beasts are living, so she can send her armies to capture them.
Right. Is that all?
No! There's just one last thing. Let her dream that there is a little girl called Sophie sitting on her windowsill who will tell her where the big friendly giant is hiding.
Where is he hiding?
We'll come to that later. So the Queen dreams her dream, right? And she wakes up, and the first thing she thinks is, oh, what a horrid dream! And then she looks up from her pillow, and what does she see?
What does she see?
She sees a little girl called Sophie sitting on her windowsill.
How is you going to get on the Queen's windowsill?
You're going to put me there. If someone dreams that there's a little girl sitting on her windowsill, and then she wakes up and sees that the little girl really is sitting there, that's a dream come true, isn't it?
I is beginning to see where you is driving to. Perhaps the Queen is believing the rest of the dream too.
That's about it. But I shall have to convince her of that.
You said you is wanting the dream to say there is a big friendly giant who is also going to talk to the Queen.
Absolutely, you must. You're the only one who can tell her where to find the other giants.
He's not wanting to be shooted at by her soldiers.
The soldiers are only at the front of the palace. At the back, there is a huge garden, and there are no soldiers in there.
Good.
There's a very high wall with spikes on it to stop people climbing in. But you could simply walk over that.
I is frightened of London.
Don't be! It's full of tiny dark streets, and there are very few people about in the witching hour.
And you is absolutely sure the Queen will not put me in a zoo with all the caterpillars?
Of course she won't. You'll be a hero, and you'll never have to eat snozcumbers again.
Oh, you mean it?
Humans don't grow them.
When is you want me to mix this special dream?
Now, at once!
And when is we going to see the Queen?
Tonight!
Well, why such a flushbunking flurry?
If we can't save tonight's children, we can at least save tomorrow's.
Then we'd better get crackling.
Oh, I knew you'd do it. Come on, let's hurry!
Very soon, Sophie was staring down at a fearful nightmare dream that was thrashing away in a huge glass jar. It was much larger than the others. It was about the size and shape of, shall we say, a turkey's egg. It was jellyfish. It had tinges of bright scarlet deep inside it.
I don't want to give the Queen a nightmare.
I is thinking that your Queen will be happy to have a nightmare if having a nightmare is going to save a lot of human beings from being gobbled up by filthsome giants. Is I right or is I left?
I suppose you're right.
All right, now let's be putting the dream bottle in my pocket. Is you going to sit in there with it during the travel?
Never.
Then where is you going to sit?
If you would be kind enough to swivel one of your ears so that it's lying flat like a dish, That would make a very cosy place for me to sit.
By gumbo, that's a squackling good idea. Well, here we goes. Now, in you gets.
I hope I don't fall down your ear hole.
You would be giving me a cronking earache. Yeah, you was tickling me a bit.
Sorry, are we ready?
Oh, he was talking too loud. He was shouting away inside my ear.
Oh gosh, sorry. Is that better?
No, it sounds as though you was shooting up a blunderbuss.
Then how can I talk to you?
Well, don't.
Is this better?
Oh, that's better. Now, I is hearing you nicely. What is it you is trying to say to me just now?
Are we ready?
We is off. We is off to meet Her Majesty, the Queen.
During the next half hour, things moved so swiftly and so silently that Sophie, crouching in the giant's ear, was unable to understand exactly what was going on. They passed the other giants on their way home after their guzzle, which made Sophie feel even more determined to go on with her mission. Suddenly, they were in streets. There were houses everywhere. There were quite a few people about, and there were cars with lights on. But nobody ever noticed the BFG. It was impossible to understand quite how he did it. There was a kind of magic in his movements. At last, they came to a place full of trees. There was a road running through it and a lake. The BFG stopped for the first time since they had set out from his cave many hours before.
What's the matter?
I is in a bit of a puddle.
You're doing marvellously.
No, I isn't. I is now completely boggled. I is lost. We is meant to be in the middle of London, and suddenly we is in green pastures.
Don't be silly. This is the middle of London. It's Hyde Park. The Queen's Palace is just across the road. This is where I take over. Go straight ahead.
Right.
Now stop! Can you see that enormous stone arch with the statue of a horse and rider on top?
Yeah, I sees it.
Do you think you could jump clear over it and land on the pavement the other side?
Easy. To me, that's a snitchy little jump.
Then go! Well done. Now see that wall? Quick, jump over that!
Oh, that's another snitchy little jump.
We're there. We're in the Queen's back garden.
By gumdrops, is this really it?
There's the palace. Go on, let's find the Queen's bedroom.
Listen.
What are you listening for?
The breathing.
Oh.
I is able to tell if it is a man-human being or a lady by the breathing.
Oh.
Yeah, we has a man in that room there, snorkeling a little bit too. Let's go on. We has a lady sleeping in there. I'll just be parting the curtains a smidgely bit.
Oh, what a lovely room. Yes, there is someone asleep in that beautiful bed.
Is that her?
Yes.
Right. Shh. I is going to put you on the ledge. Like that.
Yes.
Now don't you go tip-toppling backwards. And now, I is going to blow in the dream. First the jar.
Oh, it still looks horrible.
Shh. Into the trumpet it goes. Like so. Now then, here I blows. Some takes an hour, some is quicker. I is going off to wait in the garden. When you is wanting me, just call out my name and I is coming very quick.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. I is going to give you a little kiss.
Thank you.
Dawn came at last, and the rim of a yellow-coloured sun rose up behind the rooftops somewhere behind Victoria Station. Sophie felt a little of its warmth on her back and was grateful. How much longer, she wondered. What time do queens wake up?
Oh dear. No.
It's working. Oh, goodness. It starts to work.
Oh, no. Don't. Somebody stop them. Don't let them do it. I can't bear it. Oh, please stop them. It's horrible. It's ghastly.
Dear me. It's every bit as bad as I imagined it would be. Oh, someone's coming into the room.
Good morning, Your Majesty. Will you have your tray on the bed, Ma'am, or on the table?
Oh, Mary. Something awful has just happened.
Whatever is it, Ma'am?
I just had the most frightful dream. It was a nightmare. It was awful.
Oh, I am sorry, Ma'am, but don't be distressed. You're awake now and it will go away. It was only a dream, Ma'am.
Do you know what I dreamt, Mary?
No, Ma'am.
I dreamt that girls and boys were being snatched out of their beds at boarding school.
Out of their beds, Ma'am?
Out of their beds, Mary, and were being eaten by the most ghastly giants.
Giants, Ma'am.
Giants, Mary, that's what I said.
Oh, goodness gracious.
The giants were putting their arms in through the dormitory windows and plucking the children out with their fingers.
With their fingers, Ma'am?
Yes, Mary, please don't interrupt. One lot from a girls' school and another from a boys' school. It was all so vivid, Mary. It was so real. You're awfully quiet, Mary. What on earth's the matter?
Mary,
you're as white as a sheet. Are you feeling ill?
I don't... There goes the tray, Ma'am.
Mary, I think you better sit down at once. You look as though you're going to faint. You really mustn't take it so hard, just because I've had an awful dream.
That isn't the reason, Ma'am.
Then for heaven's sake, what is the reason?
I'm very sorry about the tray, Ma'am.
Oh, don't worry about the tray. But what on earth was it that made you drop it? Why did you go white as a ghost all of a sudden?
You haven't seen the papers yet, Ma'am.
No, Mary, I've just woken up. What do they say?
Here, Ma'am.
The Times. I say, what a lot of writing.
Take a look, Ma'am. It's like the very dream you had in the night, Ma'am.
Oh, rubbish, Mary. Where is it?
On the front, Ma'am. It's the big headlines.
Great Scott! 18 girls.
18 girls!
Vanish mysteriously from their beds at Rodine School.
From Rodine School, Ma'am.
That's what I said, Mary. Oh. And 14 boys disappear from Eton.
From Eton, Ma'am, imagine.
Bones are found underneath dormitory windows.
Bones, Ma'am, under the windows.
How ghastly.
Oh, gosh.
It's absolutely frightful. Bones under the windows. What could have happened? Oh, those poor children.
But Ma'am.
What is it, Mary?
Don't you see, Ma'am?
See what, Mary?
Those children were taken away almost exactly as you dreamt it, Ma'am.
Not by giants, Mary.
Oh, no, Ma'am, but the bit about the girls and boys disappearing from their dormitories, you dreamt it so clearly that it actually happened. That's why I came over all queer, Ma'am.
Oh, I'm coming over a bit queer myself, Mary.
It gives me the shakes, Ma'am, when something like this happens. It really does. Bones, Ma'am, under the windows.
Yes, Mary, I don't blame you.
I shall get you some more breakfast, Ma'am, and have all this mess cleaned up.
No, don't go, Mary. Stay here a moment.
Oh, very well, Ma'am.
I really did dream about those children, Mary. It was as clear as crystal.
I'm sure it was, Ma'am. As clear as...
I don't know how giants got into it.
No, Ma'am, the giants were a bit...
far-fetched, Mary.
Of course. Ma'am, you have such a fertile imagination. Ma'am.
Yes, thank you, Mary.
You're welcome, Ma'am. Shall I draw the curtains? Then we shall both feel better. It's a lovely day.
Please do.
Ah!
Stop, what's that?
It's a girl, Ma'am.
I can see it's a girl, Mary. What's she doing on my window ledge?
I really can't imagine, Ma'am.
I really am coming over a bit queer now.
Now listen here, young lady. How on earth did you get into this room?
I don't believe it. I simply don't believe it.
I'll take her out, Ma'am, at once.
No, Mary, don't do that.
Oh, very well, Ma'am. I won't take her out. Are you all right, Ma'am? You look, well, not quite yourself.
Tell me, Mary, quite truthfully, is there really a little girl sitting on my windowsill?
Or am I still dreaming?
She's sitting there, Ma'am, as clear as daylight. Your Majesty is certainly not dreaming at this time.
But that's exactly what I did dream. I dreamt that as well. I dreamt there would be a little girl sitting on my windowsill in her nightie and she would talk to me.
Oh, heavens, Ma'am. Oh, mercy. Oh, dearie, dearie, dearie. Oh, in her nightie, Ma'am. I really don't know what to say. Ma'am.
Pull yourself together, Mary.
Oh, yes, Ma'am.
Little girl,
Yes, Your Majesty?
are you well?
Yes, Your Majesty.
What is your name?
Sophie, Your Majesty.
Sophie. Popular name.
Yes, Your Majesty.
And how did you get up onto my windowsill, Sophie?
Well...
No, don't answer that. Hang on a moment. I dreamed that part of it too. I dreamt that a giant put you there.
He did, Your Majesty.
Control yourself, Mary.
Yes, Ma'am.
Now, Sophie, you are not serious about the giant, are you?
Oh, she is serious about the giant.
Oh, yes, Your Majesty. He's out there in the garden now.
He's in the garden. There's a giant in the garden.
Mary.
Oh, sorry, Ma'am.
So, he's in the garden, is he?
He's a good giant, Your Majesty. You needn't be frightened of him.
I'm delighted to hear it.
He's my best friend, Your Majesty.
Best friend.
How nice.
He's a lovely giant, Your Majesty.
I'm quite sure he is. But why have you and this giant come to see me?
Oh, this is too much.
Mary, if you can't get a grip, please go away.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ma'am.
You did dream that part, didn't you, Your Majesty?
Yes.
Oh.
Now you come to mention it, I did. But how do you know what I dreamed?
Oh, that's a long story, Your Majesty. Would you like me to call the big friendly giant? You'll like him very much.
She's going to call the giant. She's going to call a
Mary,
giant.
please pull yourself together and give me my dressing gown.
Oh, yes, Ma'am. Dressing gown. Dressing gown. She's going to call the giant.
Thank you. Now, Sophie, you may call the giant.
BFG! Her Majesty the Queen would like to see you.
Come down off that ledge. You're going to fall backwards any moment. I don't see any giant.
Please wait.
Shall I take her away now, Ma'am?
Yes, Mary. Take her downstairs and give her some breakfast.
Your Majesty!
Good heavens.
Your Majesty, I is your humbug servant.
We are very pleased to meet you.
Oh, Majesty, oh, Queen, oh, Monica, oh, Golden Sovereign, oh, ruler of straight lines, oh, Sultana. I has come here with my little friend Sophie to give you a...
To give me a what?
a... assistance.
He sometimes speaks a bit funny, Your Majesty. He never went to school.
Then we must send him to school. We have some very good schools in this country. I
has great secrets to tell your Majesty.
I should be delighted to hear them, but not in my dressing gown.
Shall you wish to get dressed, Ma'am?
Have either of you had breakfast?
Oh, could we? Oh, please! I haven't eaten a thing since yesterday.
I was about to have mine, but Mary dropped it.
Yes, Ma'am. I'm sorry, Ma'am.
You be quiet, Mary. I imagine we have more food in the palace. Perhaps you and your little friend would care to join me.
Will it be repulsant snozcumbers, Majesty?
Will it be what?
Or stinky snozcumbers?
What is he talking about? It sounds like a rude word to me. Mary, ask them to serve breakfast for 3 in the, I think it had better be in the ballroom.
In the ballroom, Ma'am.
That has the highest ceiling.
On account of the ceiling, Ma'am.
I'm afraid you will have to go through the door on your hands and knees. I shall send someone to show you the way.
Shall I be taking Sophie with me, your Majesty?
No, leave the little girl here with me. We'll have to find something for her to put on. She can't have breakfast in her nightie.
Can we have sausages, Your Majesty, and bacon, and fried eggs?
I think that might be managed.
Just you wait till you taste this breakfast, BFG. No more snozcumbers from now on.
There was a frantic scurry among the palace servants when orders were received from the Queen that a 24-foot giant must be seated with Her Majesty in the great ballroom within the next half hour. A 24-foot giant, did you say?
That's what I said, Mr. Tibbs.
Yes, a giant, Mr. Tibbs.
Oh, lordy me, whatever next?
However are we going to accommodate him?
Mr. Tibbs, the butler, was in supreme command of all the palace servants, and he did the best he could in the short time available. A man does not rise to become the Queen's butler unless he is gifted with extraordinary ingenuity, adaptability, sagacity, and discretion, not to mention a host of other talents. Mr. Tibbs had them all. If a 6-foot man requires a chair with a 2-foot-high seat, a 24-foot giant will require a chair with an 8-foot-high seat.
Oh, so clever, Mr. Tibbs.
Everything must be multiplied by 4.
Multiplied by 4. Oh, yes, I see.
Now push the grand piano into the centre of the room.
Right on, Mr. Tibbs. Here we go. Oh, careful. I've got it.
Excellent! Now, fetch a large chest of drawers and put it on top of the piano.
Will the Chippendale do, Mr. Tibbs?
The Chippendale will be most satisfactory. Mr. Tibbs skimmed across the ballroom, followed by a whole army of footmen. The footmen all wore knee breeches, and every one of them displayed beautifully rounded calves and ankles. There is no way you can become a royal footman unless you have a well-turned ankle. It is the first thing they look at when you're interviewed.
There we are, Mr. Tibbs. There's a Chippendale on top of the piano.
Perfect. That'll be his chair. It is exactly 8 feet off the ground. And now we shall make a table upon which this gentleman may eat his breakfast in comfort. Fetch me 4 very tall grandfather clocks.
4 grandfather clocks? Who'd have thought it?
And let each clock be 12 feet high.
Right you are, Mr. Tibbs.
Then fetch me the young prince's ping-pong table, and we'll stand that on top of the clocks. None of it is in the classic style, but it'll have to do. Now, tell the head gardener I require immediately a brand new, unused garden fork and also a spade. And for a knife, we shall use the great sword hanging on the wall in the morning room. Then, the biggest jug you can find from the kitchen will serve as a coffee cup. Chop, chop, snap to it. Her Majesty will be here in the blink of an eye. Good heavens! Here she comes now with the
Gumhammers and bog swinkles, what was
A
that?
chandelier.
It was Louis XV.
He's never been in a house before, Your Majesty.
Very. How interesting. Clear up the chandelier, please, Tibbs.
Yes, ma'am. Don't just stand there, woman. Get a broom.
Yes, Mr. Tibbs. Yes, Mr. Tibbs.
Your chair, sir.
What a fizz-whizzing and flash-bunking seat. I is going to be buggers a snug in a rug up there.
Does he always speak like that?
Quite often, he gets, well, tangled up with his words.
Amazing. One would never have supposed such a thing.
The Queen and Sophie sat at a small table next to the BFG. Sophie was dressed in a blue dress that had once belonged to one of the princesses, and to make her look prettier still, the Queen had picked up a superb sapphire brooch from her dressing table and had pinned it on the left side of Sophie's chest.
By gumdrops, what a spliffling wopsy room we is in.
Your breakfast, sir.
Good heavens, Tibbs, you do look amusing, standing on the top of that ladder with a silver tray.
Thank you, ma'am.
What is this?
8 eggs, 12 sausages, 16 rashers of bacon, and a sizable portion of fried potatoes. I hope it is to your liking.
He hasn't eaten anything except snozcumbers before.
Well, they don't seem to have stunted his growth. Obviously enjoying himself.
That was only one titchy little bite. Is you having any more of this delunctuous grubble in your cupboard, Magister?
Tibbs, fetch the gentleman another dozen fried eggs and a dozen sausages.
Very well, ma'am.
What is this horrible swig pill I's drinking, Magister?
It's coffee.
It's filthsome.
Where is the frobscottle?
What?
Delumptuous fizzy frobscottle. Everyone must be drinking frobscottle for breakfast, Magister. Then we can all be whiz-popping happily together afterwards.
What does he mean?
BFG, there is no frobscottle here, and whiz-popping is strictly forbidden.
What? No frobscottle, no whiz-popping, no grumptious music. Boom, boom, boom.
Absolutely not.
Music is very good for the digestion. If he wants to sing, please don't stop him.
He doesn't want to sing.
He says he wants to make music.
He's only joking, Your Majesty.
Listen, if they isn't having any frobscottle here in the palace, I can still go whiz-popping perfectly well without it, if I is trying hard enough.
No, don't. You're not to.
Oh, no, do play something. When I'm in Scotland, they play the bagpipes outside the window while I'm eating.
I has Her Majesty's permission. Whoopee! That is better than bagpipes, is it not, Magister?
I prefer the bagpipes.
During the next 20 minutes, a whole relay of footmen were kept busy, hurrying to and from the kitchen, carrying third helpings and fourth helpings and fifth helpings of fried eggs and sausages for the ravenous and delighted BFG. Chef sends his apologies, Your Majesty, and he says he has no more eggs in the kitchen.
What's wrong with the hens?
Nothing, Your Majesty.
Then tell them to lay more.
Very well, Your Majesty. And while all this was going on, Sophie had been telling the Queen everything, absolutely everything, about her visit to Giant Country. The Queen listened, appalled. When Sophie had finished, the Queen looked up at the BFG, who was now eating a sponge cake.
Big friendly giant, last night those man-eating brutes came to England. Can you remember where they went the night before?
Yes, Magister. They was galloping off to Sweden for the Sweden sour taste.
Tibbs,
Yes, Your Majesty.
fetch me the telephone.
The telephone, Your Majesty.
Have you had enough breakfast, BFG?
Yes, Magister. I is full up fit to bust a Kate.
Oh, I am pleased to hear that.
The telephone, Your Majesty.
Thank you, Tibbs. Hello, is that the King of Sweden? Good morning. Is everything all right in Sweden?
Everything is terrible. There is panic in the capital. 2 nights ago, 26 of my loyal subjects disappeared.
Oh, heavens! Your 26 loyal subjects were all eaten by giants.
By giants?
Apparently they like the taste of Swedes.
This is hardly a joking matter when one's loyal subjects are being eaten like popcorn.
They've eaten mine as well.
Who's they, for heaven's sake?
Giants.
Look here, are you feeling all right?
It's been a rough morning. First I had a horrid nightmare, then the maid dropped my breakfast, and now I've got a giant on the piano.
You need a doctor. Quick.
I shall be all right. I must go now. Thank you for your help. That proves it. Your story is apparently quite true.
Thank you, Magister.
Tibbs,
Your Majesty.
summon the head of the army and the head of the air force immediately.
The head of the army and the head of the air force stood at attention beside the Queen's breakfast table. Sophie was still in her seat, and the BFG was still high up on his crazy perch.
I knew there was something like this going on, Your Majesty. Yeah. We'll mow them down with machine guns.
We'll bomb the blighters.
Quite
I
right.
do not approve of murder.
But they're murderers themselves.
That is no reason why we should follow their example. We must bring them back alive.
How? They're all 50 feet high.
Right.
They'd knock us down like ninepins.
Wait! Hold your horseflies. I think I has the answer to the maiden's hair.
What the blazes?
Can't understand a word the chap's saying.
Let him speak.
Well, every afternoon, all these giants is in the land of Noddy.
What? Why doesn't he speak clearly?
He means the land of Nod. It's pretty obvious.
Exactly. They is lying on the ground, snoozling away in a very deep sleep.
What?
So, what you soldiers has to do is to creep up to the giants and tie their arms and legs with mighty ropes and wonking chains.
Brilliant.
Now, you is having belly poppers, isn't you?
Is he being rude?
He means helicopters.
Wopsy big belly poppers.
But no helicopter's big enough to get a giant like that inside it.
You do not put him inside.
What?
You sling him underneath the belly of your belly popper.
Perfect. Get cracking, Air Marshal.
Yeah.
You'll need 9 helicopters, 1 for each giant. Can you tell us more or less where this giant country is?
I's not having the foggiest idea.
Yeah.
But I is always able to gallop there, so all you is having to do is this. Put your 9 big belly poppers up in the air and let them follow me as I is galloping along.
Well,
How long will the journey take?
We is leaving now. We will be arriving just as the giants is having their afternoon snuggle.
yeah, that's all very well, Your Majesty, but what are we going to do with the blighters once we got them back?
Don't you worry about that. We'll be ready for them. Hurry up now. Off you go.
If it pleases your majesty, I should like to ride with the BFG to keep him company.
Where will you sit?
In his ear.
That's right. Like this.
Oh, goodness me. You really are a rather wonderful giant.
Magister, I is wishing to ask a very special thing from you.
Yes?
Could I please bring back here in the Belly Poppers all my collection of dreams? They is taking me years and years to collect, and I is not wanting to lose them.
Why, of course. I wish you a safe journey.
9 pilots in 9 helicopters were soon following Sophie and the BFG to Giant Country. The head of the Air Force and the head of the Army sat in the leading helicopter.
It's Scott, it's going to lick!
But where the devil are we?
Well, I've got the Atlas here, but this place we're flying over now isn't in it.
What on earth do you mean?
We've flown clean off the last page!
You mean to say we've gone right out of the Atlas?
Good grief, take a butcher's down there! Just look at that godforsaken desert! All the trees are dead and all the rocks are blue!
The giant has stopped!
Throttle back the engines, over!
He's waving us down!
Clear for landing, over! Steady as she goes! Right, come on, pilot, bring it up!
The 9 helicopters landed safely on the great yellow wasteland. Then each of them lowered a ramp from its belly. 9 jeeps, one from each helicopter, were driven down the ramps. Each jeep contained 6 soldiers and a vast quantity of thick rope and heavy chains.
I don't see any giants.
The giants is just all out of sight over there, but if you was taking these slosh-buckling, noisy belly poppers any closer, all the giants is waking up at once.
So you want us to proceed by jeep?
Yes. No roaring of motors, no shouting, no piggery jokery, mind.
Do you hear what I hear? Guns! Those are guns! Turn back, the lot of you! Let's get out of here!
Pigs, Biffle, those is just the giants snorkeling in their sleep.
Are you quite sure?
Positive.
Proceed with caution.
Great Scott! Look!
Never seen anything like it. What brutes!
All sprawled out on the ground, half naked.
What happens if one of them wakes up?
If any one of them is waking up, he will gobble you down before you can say nut jive. Me is the only one what won't be gobbled because giants is never eating giants.
Well, we are here to do a job, and that job we shall do. Go forward, men. Go forward and do your duty. Bravely.
6 soldiers set to work on each giant, and within 10 minutes, 8 out of the 9 giants had been trussed up like chickens and were still snoring contentedly. The 9th, who happened to be the Fleshlumpeater, was causing trouble because he was lying with his right arm tucked underneath his enormous body. Very cautiously, the soldiers began to pull on the enormous arm.
Which of you foul pesters is wiggling my arm? Is that you, you rotsome man-hugger? Who is you? Human beings! What is all you flush-bunking, rotsome, half-baked beans doing in our country? Come here!
Help! He's got me!
I is having early suppers today.
Do something, BFG!
Put that human being down.
What is you doing here? You is making me very suspicious.
Oh, help! I'll have to do something. I know! The brooch! I'm going to unpin the Queen's brooch.
I is guzzling you nice and slow. Then I is guzzling 10 or 20 more of you midgy little maggots down there.
I'm going to ram it straight into its great hairy leg. Like that.
Ah! You is bitten by a snake. I seen it biting you. It was a dreadly dangerous windscreen viper.
Save our souls! I is bitten by a septitious, venomsome windscreen viper.
Yeah.
The teeth of the dreadly viper is sticking into me. I is feeling the teeth sticking into my anklet.
Well, grab your anklet then. And close your eyes and grittle your teeth and say your prayers while I is taking out the teeth of the venomsome viper.
Well, all right.
Quick, the rope. It'll be easy for the BFG to tie his hands together now that he's gripping his ankle.
That's right, I see what you mean. The rope, boys, quick!
There he is. I is pulling out the frightsome viper's teeth.
You can look now.
I got trussed up like a turkey.
Well done, you.
Well done, you.
Splendid. Majesty will be very pleased with me. I shall probably get a medal. What's the next move?
Well, now you is driving me to my cave to load up my bottles of dreams.
Reluctantly, the head of the army ordered the jeep to drive to the BFG's cave. And once all the dreams had been safely collected, all 9 helicopters were started up and hovered over the trussed-up giants, who were trying in vain to free themselves from their ropes like a mass of snakes.
Eyes, Fleshlumpeater!
Fritz Wiggle! Eyes, Swamster!
The 9 helicopters each chose a separate giant, and strong steel hawsers with hooks on the end of them were lowered from the front and rear of each helicopter. The BFG quickly secured the hooks to the giants' chains. Then, slowly, the giants were winched up into the air. They roared and bellowed, but there was nothing they could do. The helicopters flew right through the night and arrived in England just as dawn was breaking. And while they'd been away, a tremendous hustle and bustle had been going on back at home.
Now, listen very carefully to me. I want you to mobilize as many earth diggers as you can, and you are to dig the most colossal hole.
A big hole, you say, Mum?
Precisely. A hole large enough to accommodate 9 50-foot giants.
I see, Mum. An hole for giants, you say?
Absolutely. Trust me, it will all become abundantly clear.
Right you are, Mum. What's she want, then? An hole for giants.
Sure enough, the huge pit had been prepared, and now, hovering over it, were 9 helicopters, and a great crowd had gathered to witness the scene.
Slowly, Dolly. Down they go. Slowly. That's the ticket. Oh, damn it.
What's the problem?
Now we're going to untie the brute. We'll be eaten.
I'll be untying them before you can say Rat Jobbinson. Giants is never eaten giants, don't forget.
Why is they putting us down here in this grub sludge at all?
Because you is guzzling human beings. I is always warning you not to do it.
In that case, I think we is guzzling you instead. Hoist him up quick. They're threatening to eat him.
Hooray! Congratulations, BFG. Splendid effort. Oh, I see. Whatever have you got in that bag there?
Snozcumbers. I's bringing back repulsant snozcumbers, Magister. And that is all we is going to give these disgustive giants from now on. Now, there's your supper! It serves them right, left, and centre.
What will we feed them on when the snozcumbers are all used up?
Oh, they has never been used up, Magister. I's also bringing in this sack a whole bundle of snozcumber plants, which I's given to the royal gardener to put in the soil.
What a clever fellow you are. You are not very well educated, but you are really nobody's fool. I can see that.
Every country in the world that had in the past been visited by the foul man-eating giants sent telegrams of congratulations and thanks to the BFG and to Sophie. Meanwhile, tourists from all over the globe came flocking to gaze down in wonder at the 9 horrendous man-eating giants in the Great Pit. The BFG expressed a wish to learn how to speak properly, and Sophie herself volunteered to give him lessons every day. He became a great reader, and even started to write essays about his own past life.
These are really very good, BFG. You know, I think perhaps one day you could become a real writer.
Oh, I would love that. Do you think I could?
I know you could. Why don't you start by writing a book about you and me?
Oh, very well. I'll give it a try.
And when you've finished it, we'll show it to the Queen.
What a whiz-popping idea that is.
Yes!
The BFG worked hard on his story, and in the end he rather shyly showed it to the Queen.
Magister.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much. My word, you have learned to write quite beautifully.
Oh, thank you, Magister.
I shall read it aloud to my grandchildren.
And that is precisely what the Queen did.
Oh, that's perfectly charming. I think we ought to get this story printed properly and published, so that other children can read it.
And that is precisely what the Queen did.
Dear Sir, I am enclosing a quite remarkable story written by a very dear friend of mine, the Big Friendly Giant. He is too shy to use his real name here, so has called himself Roald Dahl. I am very much of the opinion that this story should be published so that everyone can read it. And I should know, because I am the Queen.
And where, you might ask, is this story that the BFG wrote? It's right here. You've just listened to it.